It's hard to imagine the Earth as it once was. There are no green forests, no clear rivers, no thriving cities. It all disappeared long before I was born, leaving only remnants, stories passed down through the generations, blurry records stored in old data archives, fragments of a world that crumbled under its own weight. The end didn't come all at once. Earth bled out slowly, piece by piece, over decades. It started with the environmental collapse. Ice caps melting, oceans rising, ecosystems failing. Entire species vanished, and with them, the delicate balance that had kept the planet alive. The skies darkened, cities fell into disrepair, and what remained of humanity descended into chaos. In a last-ditch effort to stop the collapse, the most brilliant minds of our age turned to technology. That's how it always starts, doesn't it? They believed they could fix the world at the molecular level, rewrite the very code of nature using nanotechnology. Greyfield, they called it, a project designed to seed the Earth with self-replicating nanites that would cleanse the air, restore the land, and repair the damage humanity had done. But they were wrong. The Greyfield project malfunctioned. The nanites didn't heal, they devoured. The very machines built to save the world began breaking it down instead, rewriting the fabric of reality itself. Forests melted into bizarre, shifting landscapes. Time fractured, entire cities blinked in and out of existence, and the laws of physics stopped making sense. The grey, as we call it now, spread like a plague, twisting everything in its path into something unrecognizable. As the Earth below collapsed into chaos, humanity did what it always does, fled. The floating cities were built, suspended in the stratosphere, far above the ruin. Etherian is one of the last of these cities, drifting high above the poisoned surface, where only fragments of the old world remain. Down below, in the depths of the grey, something even worse stirs. Eidolons, they're called, artificial constructs built by the old world. Once, they were meant to preserve knowledge, to protect what remained of Earth's history. But like everything else, they were corrupted. Now they roam the wasteland, hunting anyone foolish enough to descend into the grey. Most people in Etherian think they're safe, that the chaos below will never touch them. But they don't see what I see. They don't know what I know. The air in Etherian always tastes like nothing. Too clean, too perfect. I used to think that was a good thing, back when I still believed in the lies the city told us. But not anymore. Not since I've seen what's really happening beneath the surface. It started this morning. A strange flicker out of the corner of my eye. Just a brief distortion in the sky. At first, I thought it was just another glitch in my mind. Something left over from my old job. A side effect of tampering with memories for too long. But then I realized it wasn't in my head. It was real. The Eidolon appeared out of nowhere, a ghostly figure glitching in and out of existence, shifting between shapes, a fractured silhouette of something humanoid, then twisting into something else, something mechanical. It shouldn't have been able to reach us. Etherian was supposed to be safe, high above the grey, far from the chaos below. But here it was, hovering above the lower sectors of the city, flickering in and out of reality. And then, in that brief moment of clarity, it broadcasted a message. A signal, broken and distorted. But there. I could hear it in my mind, like a jagged shard of data slicing through the static. Coordinates, directions leading deep into the grey, and a name, the Eye. No one else seemed to notice. The others in the street just screamed and ran as the Eidolon descended, but I stood there, frozen. I recognized the signal. It was like a voice calling out from the depths of my past, echoing memories I wasn't even sure were real. The Eidolon's attack was swift, its presence ripping through the lower sectors, leaving chaos in its wake. As the city's defenses kicked in, I saw it flicker once more, and then it was gone, disappeared back into the void from which it came. But the damage was done. For the first time in years, Etherian had been breached. The grey had reached us. And worse, I had a feeling this was only the beginning. They tell you memories make you who you are. But what if those memories aren't real? What if everything you've ever known is just a fabrication, a story written by someone else to keep you in line? That's what I used to do for a living. As a memory engineer, I designed pasts for the people of Ethereum, pasts that were more bearable than the truth. The elite paid us to erase their pain, to rewrite their lives into something more beautiful, more orderly. I was good at it too. They trusted me with their most intimate secrets, with the threads of their identity. But that was before I went too far, before I started tampering with things I wasn't meant to touch. I dug too deep into the city's archives, searching for the truth about what really happened to Earth, about the project that created the Grey, and about the strange anomalies I had started seeing in my own mind. That's when they found out. The council exiled me for it, banished me to the lower sectors, stripped of my status, my access to the archives, my purpose. But the damage had already been done. Something had changed in me ever since I accessed those restricted files. My mind didn't work the same way anymore. I started seeing things, glitches in reality, like pieces of other worlds bleeding through into this one. Sometimes I'd catch a glimpse of a place that didn't exist, or hear voices from a time that had never been. And now, this signal from the Eidolon. The coordinates burned into my mind, like they were meant for me alone. But why? What was the I, and why was it calling to me? There was another memory too, faint, like a dream I couldn't fully remember. A sister. Her face blurred in my mind, like I'd known her once, but now she was just another fragment of my fractured reality. Did she exist? Or had I created her, like I'd done with so many others' memories? The signal was leading me somewhere, deep into the grey, into the heart of the chaos. If I followed it, maybe I could find the truth. Maybe I could find her, or maybe I would find nothing at all. But I had to try. It took me days to prepare for the descent. No one in Ethereum leaves unless they've given up on their life. The grey isn't just a wasteland, it's a fractured reality. It distorts everything it touches, mutating the landscape and the mind alike. To venture down there is to gamble with your own sanity, with your existence itself. I stood at the edge of Ethereum's lowest platform, looking out over the endless cloud of shifting fog that churned below. Beyond the platform, the grey stretched into infinity, its horizon an unsettling swirl of dark clouds and fractured light. I could feel its pull, like a whisper calling me, daring me to step into the unknown. I tightened my grip on the only tool I had, my vein, a device built to read fluctuations in reality, though it malfunctioned more often than not. Like me, it was unreliable at best, but in the grey, it would be my guide, my only way to navigate the madness that awaited. The descent was slow. I had to bypass the city's protective grid, making my way down old, rusted ladders and maintenance tunnels, each step taking me closer to the pulsing, unnatural storm below. The further I got from the city, the heavier the air became, thick with the scent of ozone and the hum of nanotechnology gone wild. By the time I reached the lower perimeter, the world above felt like a distant memory. I paused, looking back at Ethereum one last time, its shining towers barely visible through the fog. It felt like looking at a dream I had once believed in, now fading into obscurity. With a deep breath, I turned my back on it and stepped into the grey. The moment I crossed the threshold, I felt the shift. It was subtle at first, just a faint buzzing in my skull like static in the background. But then the world around me twisted. The ground beneath my feet rippled, bending in unnatural ways, and the sky above darkened to an inky black, filled with flashes of light that didn't belong to any star I'd ever seen. The grey was alive. I could feel it, moving beneath my skin, whispering to me in voices I couldn't quite understand. Time felt slippery here, like each moment could be stretched or collapsed without warning. Landscapes shifted around me, entire buildings flickering in and out of existence, half buried in the ground, their architecture warping like melted glass. I clutched the vein tighter, activating it with a quick flick of my wrist. It hummed weakly, scanning the environment. Its screen flashed erratically, but it managed to stabilize enough to give me a reading. The coordinates were still there, deep in the grey. I was getting closer. But something else was there too. Something watching. The Eidolons. I had been told they were machines, corrupted constructs built to protect the remnants of Earth's knowledge. But they were so much more than that. They were predators. I could sense them now, moving through the fractured landscape, watching from the edges of reality, flickering in and out like the ghosts of a forgotten era. If they found me, they wouldn't hesitate to tear me apart. My vein beeped softly, warning me of a disturbance up ahead. I ducked behind the ruins of a half-melted tower just as one of the Eidolons came into view. It moved like a shadow, its form constantly shifting. One moment it looked humanoid, the next it was a beast made of metal and smoke. I held my breath, watching it drift past, its hollow eyes scanning the ruins, searching for something or someone. When it was gone, I exhaled slowly. The grey was more dangerous than I had imagined, but I couldn't stop now. The signal from the Eidolon in Etherian was still fresh in my mind, pulling me forward. It wasn't just coordinates, it was a path leading me to the Eye. As I pushed deeper into the grey, the landscape became even more unstable. Entire sections of the ground would crumble into dust one moment, only to reform into something unrecognizable the next. Sometimes I'd see flashes of things that couldn't be real. Buildings from the old world, people frozen in place, flickering like images from a broken projector. And then the visions started. It began with just a voice, soft, distant, like a whisper in the wind. But then the voice grew louder, more distinct, until I recognized it. My sister. Her name came to me in fragments, Lena. A name I hadn't spoken in years, because I wasn't even sure she had existed. The memories of her were so faded, so blurred, like they had been erased from my mind. But here, in the grey, her voice was clear. Cara! I turned sharply, searching the desolate landscape for any sign of her. But there was nothing, just the ruins of a dead world, twisted beyond recognition. Cara! Her voice came again, this time closer. You need to find me. I squeezed my eyes shut, gripping the vein tighter. Was this real, or just another glitch in my fractured mind? The grey could play tricks on you, warp your perception until you didn't know what was real and what was illusion. I had to stay grounded. I had to stay focused. But the memories came flooding back, no matter how hard I tried to push them away. I saw flashes of Lena, her face, her smile, her laughter. I remembered us playing together as children, before the collapse, before everything went to hell. But were those memories real? Or had I fabricated them, like I had fabricated so many others' lives? Cara, I'm here. Lena's voice echoed again, this time so close I could feel her presence. Come find me. I opened my eyes, and there she was. Standing just a few feet away, her form flickering in and out of existence, like she was being pulled from another reality. Her face was just as I remembered, young, untouched by time, as if the years between us had never happened. Lena, I whispered, stepping toward her. But as I reached out, she vanished, gone in the blink of an eye, leaving only a faint imprint in the air where she had stood. I stood there, trembling, unsure of what was real anymore. The memories, the visions, were they trying to guide me? Or was the grey toying with my mind, pulling me deeper into its madness? I didn't know. But I had no choice but to keep moving. I had to find the Eye. I had to know the truth. It wasn't long before I encountered them. The cult of the Veiled had long been rumoured to exist within Etherian, a secretive group that believed in fully merging with the nanotech that had consumed the Earth. They saw the grey not as a threat, but as the next step in human evolution, an ascension into something beyond flesh and bone. I hadn't believed the rumours, until now. I stumbled upon them in the ruins of an old factory, hidden beneath the shifting layers of the grey. There were half a dozen of them, clad in strange cloaks made of woven nanofibers, their faces covered in masks that shimmered and flickered like the grey itself. They moved in unison, chanting in a language I didn't understand, gathered around something large and metallic, half buried in the ground. The eye. It was unmistakable, massive, ancient, a machine from the old world, pulsing with a strange energy that seemed to ripple through the air. It was unlike anything I had ever seen, a relic from a forgotten time, existing in multiple realities at once. I could feel its power, even from a distance. This was it. This was what I had been searching for, but I wasn't alone. One of the veiled turned toward me, his mask reflecting the fractured light of the grey. His voice was deep, resonant as he spoke. "You shouldn't be here," he said. "The eye does not belong to you." I took a step back, my heart pounding in my chest. But I couldn't leave. Not now. Not when I was so close. "I need answers," I said, my voice trembling. "I need to know the truth." The veiled man tilted his head, the eerie shimmer of his mask reflecting the broken landscape around us. His voice, distorted and metallic, seemed to echo from all directions at once. "The truth?" he scoffed, stepping closer. "There is no truth here. Only chaos. The eye will rewrite everything, as it always has. And you are just a glitch in the system, a remnant of a world that no longer exists." His words sent a cold, piercing dread through me. A glitch, a remnant. Was that all I was? A mistake in a shattered world? My entire existence? Nothing but an error? "No," I whispered, more to myself than to him. "I'm here for a reason. I have to be. There's something in me, something that brought me this far. It can't all be for nothing." He stepped closer, his presence towering over me, the shifting nanotech particles of his cloak swirling in the wind like dust from a dying star. "The eye," he said, his voice like distant thunder, "is not a device meant to be controlled. It is the heart of chaos, the root of all that has come undone. You think you are real, Cara? You think you have a purpose?" He leaned in, his masked face inches from mine. "Then face the eye and learn what you truly are." The air around me vibrated with a strange magnetic energy, the pull of the eye growing stronger. I could feel it in my bones, a gravitational pull that was no longer just physical. It was reaching into my mind, peeling away the layers of memory and self, trying to expose the core of what I was. I looked at the veiled man, then back at the swirling mass of the eye. The massive machine loomed before us, half buried in the earth, its pulsating energy warping everything around it. I had come this far for answers, but now, standing on the brink, the fear of finding out what I really was almost stopped me. What if he was right? What if I was nothing but a glitch, an accident that had survived the chaos? But I couldn't turn back now. Not after everything. I took a step forward, my heart racing. The veiled man's voice followed me low and dark. "You think you're here for a reason? There is no reason, Cara. There is no grand purpose. You were never supposed to exist." But as his words echoed in my ears, something shifted inside me. A memory, not fractured this time, but clear and vivid, rose to the surface. Lena's face, her laughter as we played by the shores of an ancient, forgotten sea. Her smile when she handed me the key to our old home. The way she looked at me, always full of trust and love. "No," I said, my voice steadier now. "Maybe I'm not supposed to exist. Maybe I'm just a glitch. But that doesn't mean my choices don't matter." The veiled man's eyes, if he had any, narrowed beneath his mask. You think your choices will save you. The eye doesn't care about you. It will erase everything. That may be true, I said, taking another step toward the eye, feeling its energy pulsing against my skin like static electricity. But I choose to find out for myself. I stood before the eye, the air humming with raw power. Its black, swirling core seemed to pulse in time with my heartbeat, each wave of energy pulling at my mind, bending my thoughts, my memories. I had always known there was something wrong with me, something broken. The fragments of my past, the gaps in my memory, they were more than just trauma. They were pieces of a puzzle that didn't fit. And now, I could see the truth. The veiled man was right. I was a glitch, an echo of something that had already been erased. The eye was a machine built to stabilize reality, to correct the chaos that had overtaken the world. But in doing so, it had created anomalies, people, places, entire memories that weren't supposed to exist. I was one of them. But there was something else, something deeper. I could feel it, lurking just beyond the surface of my awareness. The eye wasn't just erasing worlds, it was rewriting them over and over again. Each time it created new versions of reality, new versions of me. That's why the memories didn't align, why time itself felt fractured. I wasn't just a remnant. I was the product of endless resets, the outcome of countless cycles of destruction and creation. And Lena had known. She had been part of the original project. She had tried to stop it, tried to save me. But in the end, even she couldn't escape the eye's influence. I reached out toward the core of the machine, my hand trembling. The veiled man was silent now, watching as I made my choice. I could stop it. I could reset the system one last time, wipe the slate clean, and let the world heal. But doing so would erase everything, including me. Or I could let it continue, let the chaos spiral out of control, and hope that something new would emerge from the ruins. As my fingers brushed the surface of the eye, I felt its power surge through me. My mind filled with images of worlds that had never been, lives I had never lived. And in everyone, I was different. In everyone, I was someone else. But Lena was always there. She had been real, hadn't she? "Do it," the veiled man said softly, his voice no longer mocking. "End it." I closed my eyes, my hand hovering over the final switch. If I reset the system, I would be gone, erased. But if I didn't, I opened my eyes and looked at the veiled man, and suddenly I understood. I wasn't the glitch. He was. The realization hit me like a lightning bolt. The veiled man wasn't real. He was a construct of the eye, a guardian meant to keep the cycle going, to trap anomalies like me in an endless loop of destruction and rebirth. He had never been part of this world. He was just another piece of the eye's system. "I see it now," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "You're not real." The veiled man tilted his head, his mask flickering for the briefest moment. "I am as real as you, Cara." I smiled, the weight of the truth settling over me like a cloak. "No, you're not." With a swift motion, I pulled the switch. The eye let out a low, rumbling hum, and the world around me began to shift. The ground trembled, the sky darkened, and the veiled man let out a distorted scream, his form flickering wildly as the eye's power tore him apart. "You were never real," I whispered as his figure dissolved into the chaos. And then, everything went silent. The grey consumed everything. The sky, the ground, the ruins of the floating city. I could feel it closing in around me, erasing the last remnants of this world. But I wasn't afraid, because for the first time I knew who I was. I wasn't a glitch. I wasn't an anomaly. I was Cara. And as the grey finally swallowed me whole, I smiled. In the end, I had chosen to exist, even if only for a moment.